here's Brody Brazil.
So after basically a quarter century, the NBA on NBC is back, and everybody's feeling nostalgic, including myself. Like, this is the NBA that I grew up on, the matchups, the players, the teams, but also the presentation, right? Like, the theme song, and that's one of the biggest disappointments for me in doing this video. I wanted to do a whole breakdown of how NBC recreated Round Ball Rock, you know. Thought that was pretty good, but I can't play that here because I already tried to upload the video and it got blocked for copyright reasons. So what the heck, NBA and NBC? I just wanted to break it down. So I won't be able to do that here, but I did want to kind of go over all the different graphic elements which NBC has produced for their NBA coverage, and beginning with their own logo, right? Like, they've taken the NBA logo, which basically starts and ends right there, and they've kind of incorporated like the peacock feather into it. Now, it's also interesting that they can't just be the NBA on NBC anymore. They have to be the NBA on NBC and Peacock. It just kind of doesn't roll off the tongue the same way. And I think most people are going to look at it that way as NBC versus that way. But I do think the future of watching it is very much that way and both. But I love this whole intro without being able to show it to you here and let you hear it. I love how they kind of recreated it shot for shot. But that part, like when this logo's revealing and there's all these like, I don't know, like laser lines coming through and it kind of hits that bass, like that sub bass drop of like boom, that part. Woo, that gets me going. Like, and it has the right feel. Or even the opening part when the peacock feathers are getting traced. That's a terrible drawing. They're getting traced on the screen with the lasers. Wow, it sets the tone. And then also the announcer. His name is Jim Fagan, and unfortunately he passed away a handful of years ago. And people are wondering, wait, how did they get him to do the same voice? It's still the same voice. It's the NBA on NBC. Tonight, the Oklahoma City Thunder host the Houston Rockets. It's that voice, right? And I'm trying to imitate it, but it's the same voice. He has passed away. NBC, with the blessing of the family, has created that voice all over again. Okay, let's get to the actual game presentation, and I'll literally use the example from the very first broadcast on opening night, and let's start with the broadcast. This is called a title card. It always shows you the names of the two teams matching up and where they're playing and kind of the name of the broadcast. Of course, it's presented by American Express. Was their pregame show, by the way, called NBA Showtime? I love that name. It departs from pregame this, postgame that, NBA Showtime. What a great name for a studio show before and after a game. But they've got both teams. They've got the three-letter identifiers on both sides. You'll start to see that as a trend on the scorebug and on a lot of different places. And big colors here with the logos. Also this on the bottom third of the screen so that you can kind of get the scene set with all the visuals. In this case, it's that cable camera high above the floor at Paycom Center, but they'll use whatever establishing shots they want in this big middle area. So this doesn't cover up the whole front of the screen like it used to back in the 90s on the original NBA on NBC broadcasts. When they drop in what's called a lower third here, or a font, or a chyron, it's got Tirico, Crawford, and Reggie Miller's name on it. And I like the fact that they're using just non-traditional NBC colors. Some red there behind the Peacock logo, purple there on the names of Crawford and Reggie Miller and Mike Tirico. So, like, they're trying to splash this thing up a little bit. It kind of does reflect how the graphics used to look on NBC back in the day, but it's not identical. It's definitely modernized. It's simple. I like the choice there of big, bold fonts. I also like that through the duration of this entire broadcast, it's simple, right? The NBA logo, the Peacock logo. I don't think we need much more than that. So that's how the broadcast starts. They're doing their introduction. Then we get to the team introductions, and I really like this. While the starting five are being announced, they've got everybody's name here on the bottom of the screen, and as you can see, when it's Kevin Durant's turn, his name is highlighted as they go. So you can kind of expect to understand who's first, who's second. They obviously have done this in order with two forwards, the center, and then two guards. But I like this. Like, it has some continuity while you're seeing them introduced. I don't think you need stats. It just gives their number and their position, and they leave this graphic up on the bottom of the screen the entire time. Really like that. I think it's a cool addition when you're showing team introductions instead of having nothing on the screen. Okay, let's actually get to the score bug here, which is kind of a main component of any sports broadcast. And NBC has done what most main sports networks are doing these days. They're going bottom, middle, or middle, bottom, however you want to put it. They're not doing this score bug up here. They're not doing it upper left, upper right, bottom right. I mean, we've seen here's all the positions you could put this in sports, right? Either one of the four corners. You could put it top, middle, or bottom middle. You could basically put it any one of those spots. The only places people haven't tried are like right over here, right over there, and for obvious reasons. There's only so many places this fits, but you see a lot of NFL broadcasts moving to this, and now basketball is the same way. My only criticism here is that maybe they could have cut the width down just a little bit. It's a little bit too wide. I'm okay with OKC and Houston on the sides there. I do think, and I'll zoom in on this later to make the score bugs bigger, I do think that peacock there with this one also up here is a little bit repetitive and unnecessary, and it kind of takes up space. I'd rather have that game clock just be much bigger and much more bold. So I can see that from across a distance, from across the bar where I'm enjoying my beverage. I don't want to have to squint. I'm almost 45 years old. I want to be able to see that time on the clock big and bold. And I just don't see, there's no reason for that peacock logo to be there. Really, even on this screen, we can put it somewhere else. And that would also be able to make the quarter and the shot clock, which, by the way, has turned red. Can you see it right there? Has turned red when you get into the final 10 seconds of the shot clock. It turns red to give you that urgency. Other than that, I think, adding, using a logo and a team identifier might be seen as using a lot, but the fact that this is vertical, the 3-letter identifier, it cuts down on space. I'm okay with that. Maybe there's a little bit too much space here, although this game did go into double overtime. I think both teams flirted with 120-something points, right? So you do need space eventually. They also have to fit there the obligation of American Express tip-off. So I'm not a big fan of that the entire game on the score bug, but it's not too much. We're also seeing the foul information for both teams already on the screen. And I think later on in the game, they add the little dashes for timeouts remaining when it's actually imperative. So they don't need that here and now, just after the game is tipped off. But later on in the game, those are depicted on the screen. Overall score bug, I give a pretty good grade, probably an A- or a B+. I just think it's got a little bit of wasted space. I love the fact that they're using team colors on both sides. Really feels genuine, has some animation to it. And that score bug does a lot of different things. They can transform it during the middle of the game to show you what each team is doing on field goals, right? So they can drop that in. They can leave this on the screen the entire time and drop that in. How about give you some player information, like when it's their second foul, when it's their fourth foul, when they're in foul trouble. They can drop a lot of information on that little bar, and they can also turn it, blue or red or whatever color to match the team. I really like that. And again, just looking at this, up close, I would just much rather see, I could just draw it in here, 6:15 up there, and that's it, right? I think that would be a better score bug. And if you wanted to put the flavor of the peacock logos somewhere else, or maybe, something like that here or there, I don't know. I would have liked to have seen the clock be bigger. I also really love this, though, kind of a game reset in terms of all the things you need to know late in the game. So this is fourth quarter, right? With less than a minute to go, they're telling you timeouts for each team, challenges remaining, fouls to give for each team, and they leave the score up on the screen with the time left, pretty big and understandable and readable from afar. I like the fact that this score bug is adaptable. It's flexible. I think they did, like I said, a pretty good job with that. Now that's different from this graphic, which they use going to break or coming back from break. This is kind of a reset. And I really like the texture here. We all know what that is. That is the texture of the bottom of a basketball shoe. Why haven't we seen anybody else use that in their graphics over time and over the years? I also think that, sometimes we're not talking about graphics here. This is more about presentation. Scenic shots are great. Even of a place like Oklahoma City, which right now doesn't have much on the skyline. There's a couple of big buildings over here, but that's it. There's no real landmass or mountains to look at or a big waterway to look at. It's Oklahoma City, fine, but even this looks nice. I wish they would do more scenic shots of the respective cities they're in. Okay, in terms of just, I don't want to say generic graphics, but informational graphics on the bottom left corner, I love the fact that they really tuck this into the corner. Back in the day, they would have had to put this over here, or they would have had to make it 4:3 safe. It's just sitting in the middle of nowhere, that graphic. The fact that they're able to push that all the way to the edge of the screen. I mean, look how much little dead space there is here. Like barely anything down there. Love that. They keep it off the screen. They keep most of this screen on the game action or whatever else is going on. So this doesn't intrude. There is a lot of white space right in there, but that's fine. This is all template based. But even that has a good look to it. It's easily legible. I think when you're seeing NBA there, but also NBA right there. I know this is a league graphic. This is meant to be more of a team logo and a team identifier. So maybe some things they'll work through here, but overall, pretty good presentation. Ooh. With the betting scandal that just rocked the NBA, and then on opening night, DraftKings Sportsbook presents King of the Court. Yeah. I'll say this aesthetically. I like this kind of breakdown here. Something on the left comparing two players, number one versus number two, whatever, and their performance, and they kind of pop out there. That's all nice. I'm just saying the context of the information here and who's presenting it and what this is all about. This is not just for your information. This is a sponsored element here. I mean, literally, we literally have to put this on the screen. Odds and lines subject to change. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. So that just lets you know that, we don't even feel great about putting this up on the screen. Anyway, aesthetically, I like building graphics vertically like that. Here's a full screen. I really like the way these turned out. I love the colors here. And I love this kind of just drop in of OKC and kind of that like glassy feel and texture. And again, they're using the skyline of the city in the background. Those names pop. The fact that they're cut out here and these circles pop, and they're using even the old pictures of KD and Russell Westbrook. And I don't even recognize, who is that guy? Where's the beard on James Harden? But 07, 08, 09, I love the way that this graphic looks. Like this is pleasing to the eye. If you left this on the screen, even for 5 seconds too long, it would be fine because it's aesthetically pleasing. And all the team names are kind of written in that shoelace font. They've really kind of gone in on that, huh? Like there again is the bottom of the shoe footprint pattern, and here's some shoelaces. Like they really are trying to make this an authentic basketball graphics package, which I can appreciate. Player information graphics, like when they're at the free throw line or when they're just trying to identify somebody. I like the fact that there's a top line and a bottom line, and all of this is clear and legible. I really like that font. It's big, it's tall, it's kind of like an NBA almost font of their logo. Really matches things. The colors work well here. This is, and this is right about the right width. I mean, imagine back in the day, like in the 90s and 2000s, we would have used that whole space to put just that information right there. I love the fact that we've kept it tight down there. That's very well done by NBC. Same thing here with SGA. They're giving you his points by quarter. And I mean, this tells the story alone, how good he was in the final quarter of this game. But this is a good graphic, right? Again, doesn't take up much space. Look how little area is wasted here at the bottom of the screen. Again, these used to be graphics that floated way up here, right? Or were even this big, literally, to just give you that much information. Love the fact that we're being super efficient here. I guess the biggest disappointment is that I really wanted to break down the theme song and the intro, and I wanted to give John Tesh his flowers all over again. We couldn't do that here. Shame on you, NBA, for copywriting that video and blocking it here in my channel. But I think it's a really well done job by the NBA on NBC. And for as much as you may or may not like their announcers or their studio analysts or anything else, I think in terms of the broadcast and their game production and how clean everything looks, it's a first-class job so far. They've had a while to plan and prepare for this, and I think you're seeing the execution. Let me know what you think about this. The NBA on NBC, it's back. How do you like it? What would you like to see them do? Comments down below. Also, thumbs up down there for this video. Also, don't forget to subscribe. I'd love to see you back here next time.